Let me start out really simple. Life begins at conception, at which point sperm inseminates the egg, ultimately yielding and embodied in the human fetus. It is here that all of human life is imbued with what is biblically and colloquially termed a soul. Where is my evidence for this universal, immutable characteristic? Look no further. There is a book you can read, and it is called the Bible. Anyway, life begins at conception, as I clasp my impromptu inhalation device in the form of a straw with its top bending half severed from its base apparatus, ready for another 60 milligram hit of 3-chlorophenimetrazine to energize me through the next 36-hour stretch I arbitrarily decided to stay up for. I was posed with a question. Why am I like this? Yesterday, I almost pushed away two of my closest friends in a stupor of incoherent suicidality and entitled anger at all who seek to pull me out of the aforementioned stupor. I attempted to take my life, unsuccessfully, in perhaps the rudest way I could have, rebuking and eviscerating a series of events prior that built up trust. I now exist at the bottom of a hill, trying my damnedest to get all the way back up to the point I made it to years ago. This is a pattern. I engage in suicidal ideation, lash out, act out, and seek forgiveness. Rinse and repeat. It has been the same story iterated upon time and time again in the sequence of events that comprise my life. The only difference being that the degrees have changed. With every passing year, I become a bit less of a nuisance to be around, but my outward behavior isn't representative of a change in emotional state, or rather a turn towards something other than the constantly visceral and ever-changing. In fact, the fundamental process has stayed the same. I simply got better at hiding it, at keeping the metaphorical war zone that is my emotional state at bay long enough to prevent tragedy. Well, mostly. We do have our hiccups, as evidenced by the Sisyphusian task that will be ameliorating these two recently tragedy-wrought friendships. Tragedy that, prior to this specific confluence of events with these specific individuals, I thought I was immune to, or at least moved on from as it pertained to those closest to me. In roughly fall of 2019, I had a revelation that would fundamentally alter the course of every subsequent friendship I'd have. The revelation was that everyone's emotions, and the way they receive one another's emotional frequencies, exist in degrees, and the degree to which I experience negative emotions in response to what were to other people normal stimuli stemmed from a miscalibration of my receiver. The dial was turned up way too high, as it had to be, coming from the abnormal environment I did, wherein every utterance, every breath poses the potential of igniting violence. Coming from such a place, one develops a habit of not just holding one's tongue, but also of responding preemptively, in preparation for certain events to play out that you've been trained to see before they happen to better defend yourself. The moment I recalibrated my receiver to degrees that mirrored the everyday populace was the moment I stopped violently ending friendships in a disproportionate response to a joke or common facet of socializing. Those things stopped feeling like threats. I stopped feeling like I had to defend myself. This is all fine and good, but what of the metaphorical war zone, whirlwind, or roller coaster that makes up my baseline engagement with the world? On any front beyond the one I just described, not much has changed. I could be feeling like a millionaire in one instant, just to be swept away in seconds by an impulse to take my own life. The mood swings are so rapid and visceral, as though I am possessed by some other entity, having their fun with me by twisting a lever here and a lever there, to shift the direction of my feelings and subsequent actions. There is misery here, imprisoned by one's radical shifts in emotional engagement with reality, and it's a problem I do not know how to fix. The only component of this equation I've consistently been able to address is the extent to which these mood swings present outwardly. That is all a matter of behavior in spite of the war zone I'm in, the tornado-esque whirlwind I am possessed by, and the roller coaster at which I am strapped to at all times against my will to go 200 miles per hour forwards, backwards, upside down, and every conceivable direction in between. Therefore, drugs provide an immediate sense of autonomy. I am aware that certain molecules have more or less affinity for certain receptors and at certain dosages, yielding different effects when accounting for said factors. Am I low on serotonin and need a boost of empathy? Is fatigue, suicidal ideation harming my productivity, my confidence? Do I need to de-stress after a long day to better process how it went? Do I need to go deeper into my psyche and introspect? Do I need sleep? Do I need a social lubricant? There are solutions for all of these hypothetical scenarios, and they exist in pharmacology when accounting for dosage and class of substance. There exist minutiae in individual compounds across a class that make them more or less ideal depending on the circumstance, but that's not important to you. If at a moment's notice my magic bag of potions can prevent a tragedy, it is all a matter of choosing to ingest. And then my emotional state, once steered by a malicious entity, is now steered by me. I am in the driver's seat. They say it's a short-term solution to a long-term problem, but that's only if you use any one individual substance in the long term, or substances it has cross-tolerance with. Without that sort of reliance where you are simply maintaining your baseline state by using drugs, the usage of drugs fundamentally alters the way we experience the world, often in desirable or positive ways. The point is to harness their utility and to have the tools to recognize where it lies and when it runs out. With that mindset, my life has improved. But we're still telling the same story, aren't we? There is someone there pulling the levers as sinisterly random as he can. No amount of altered states can change that baseline and the threat it poses to those around me. This is by no means a justification for my actions. It is a desperate plea for understanding, an attempt to describe the suffering that leads one to cause suffering in others, and the immense effort one must put in to act in spite of said temptations. That can in no way justify harm done to others, but it does provide a window into the lives of the people who do the harm. A window that I'd rather be peering into from the outside than looking out from the inside. Perhaps I'm closer to the outside, upon putting these words to paper, upon seeking reconciliation with my subjective experience, but as of now, this is my story, the story of my enslavement.